What's up, everybody? My name is Jason, and welcome to Small Biz. In today's video, we're going to talk about how RENX last trade 254 on the nose was a 47% profit for our Discord. But the obvious question of this day is, with the Trumpster due to speak at 9 p.m. tonight, was that 588 high or thereabouts in the Qs it, or are we about to go a hell of a lot higher? All that and more coming right up. Ding, 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 ring, 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 ring. I got to get a button for that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now 4 o'clock. God bless each and every single one of you just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. RENX closed at 257 on the nose. It looks like 584 and a quarter or thereabouts on the Qs. Before I talk about both and tell you exactly where I think this market is going over the next few weeks, I got to cover a couple of issues. First of all, thank you to all those who joined last night. Yes, it's true. $20 your first 2 months, cancel anytime. If you're not happy on the 59th and 1/2 day, if you're not aligned with a guy who's now 103-3 after RENX since last August for massive triple-digit gains, you just log into your account, you delete it, and you get on with your life. But if you decide to stay, and about half of you will, you can save 30% annually, and we now have a semi-annual payment, save 15% if you'd like to divide it up into two. As someone rightly pointed out this morning, it's only $140 a month. And while many of you watching have thrown in the towel in the last several months and walked away from a 97% plus win rate because you got pissed off I raised the price, it's still less than a half a cup or thereabouts at your local Starbucks, one of these. Once we send you a link after you pay $20 pinned in the top comment, you must log on to Discord. If you don't have a Discord, get an app, download it. Click the link. Go to the server. I will then verify your email matches what you gave us on the website. And yes, you must use a real name. And then you can enter Shangri-La. Scroll up about 47 miles in the new trades channel, and you will see 103 wins against only 3 losses. And by the way, one of my 3 losses, CETX, came roaring back. So the Peacocks could squawk today close to $1. I got out in the high 70s with a tiny loss. Ladies and gentlemen, had you followed my lead in the last 2.5 years, you could have made 20 times on your money. 448 wins against only 22 losses. Show me somebody else that's making that kind of money in a market that's been going sideways, or in the case of software, down 50% in the last 4 or 5 months. It does not exist. In fact, the S&P last year was only up 17%. We've been up over 700% in the last 10 months alone. But, as I alluded to yesterday, I've made one huge mistake. And that's ranting and raving in particular about people who just don't engage, even on win days. You would think when you make 50 or in some cases 100%, if you sold RENX close to 3.5, that you could log in and say, hey, wow, thanks, appreciate that. Once in a while, but no. Oh no. 88% of our Discord that I slave on behalf of for 12 hours a day never shows up. And while I will not pretend to like that, I will accept. And you're not going to see any more of the nonsense tagged, ranting about no one logging in. After today, I'm not mentioning it unless it's brought up and I have to. No more of the name calling, including myself, when I used to say, fuck Jason, when you guys would get pissed off if I didn't nail a fucking trade to a T. Both sides have to accept some level of responsibility. I certainly have and will continue to do my part. But don't fucking disrespect me. Especially on a day like this, when we were in a stock more than once, bought it before the reverse split recently, had an average post-split in RENX of about 192, kept buying it all the way down to 150 just 2 days ago. Most of you, like myself, got our average close to 170. And what did I keep saying? Reverse splits are no longer a four-letter word. They have been pumping like crazy, generally in and around the regaining NASDAQ compliance window. And here comes a fluff piece from RENX, whose CEO, by the way, has been in trouble with the securities law over the past number of years. So I understand those of you that have been throwing them under the bus over on Clowntown. There's some truth to that. But we've proven almost 450 fucking times. It doesn't matter how bad the company is. It doesn't even matter who's running the show. And while I will get it wrong once in a very great while, when you've got RSI, stochastics, and MACD flat on their back, when nobody wants them over on a website I no longer mention, I'll take it. And then when the bottles start fucking getting popped and the rockets are touched off like they were this morning in RENX, I will sell it all. Pin comment. I don't know how long I'm going to do it. Might be a few days. I might do it to my birthday, Monday, April 13th. It's $20. Cancel anytime. Give me a chance. I'll make you an obscene amount of money. All right. With respect to the Qs, we bottomed out at 555. We put 60% of our retirement money in, an average of around 564. So when we hit 588 today, everybody's not only in the money, but breathing a major sigh of relief. And do you know how many retail clowns that fucking panicked in the 550s bought back the same fucking stocks like the Qs 20, 30 points higher? Millions. Millions of people. That's part of what you pay me for. Like last year during the fake trade war, I said it was fake from day one. Watch some of my older videos. You think Trump, arguably the most pro-Wall Street president in history, was just going to mold the fucking stock market and economy into the dirt and it's never going to come back? No, I could make the case, in fact, it was a setup to help his donors and those that got him elected, even though I voted for him twice, so they could load the boat, just like they were doing last week. Or just a few days ago. In closing, you went from 637 to 555. That's about a 12.5% correction in the Qs. The S&P and the Dow were about half of that. So we're hardly in the middle of a crash. It's a normal correction. On the 5-minute chart, and you would know this if you're inside of the Discord, 568, well off the 555 low, was a double top breakout. What was resistance will now become support. So if something goes wrong in the next several days, we will drop from the close at 584 in and around 568, 570, well off the low. If something goes really, really right, we're going to run up to and potentially slightly over 600, but you've got the infamous death cross, the red line, the 50-day, about to go over the blue line, the 200. That is typically bearish, at least in the near term. And a lot of damage has been done. So we are not, I repeat, not going to new all-time highs anytime soon. We're going to have to bounce up another 2, 3, 4% tops over the next 2 weeks, and then back and fill and chop around for at least a few weeks to a few months. And by the time we get into the fall, and we get some clarity from the prediction markets as to who's going to win. And really, it doesn't matter. Because if you know your history like I do, 17 midterms since 1957, when the S&P began, even though you have an average drawdown of 19.4%, nowhere close so far, you only finished the year down 1% because no matter who wins, there's a vicious rally in November and December. And until next time. Always remember, ladies and gentlemen, that I love you. And I hope to see you join us for $20 right now in the pinned comment below at trysmallbiz.com.